What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Cording. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm working on probably 3 videos today, so if you're in for it, please remember to crush that thumbs up button below the video. It really does help the channel, and I really do appreciate it. So I think, as early as it is, I know you might say, Jeremy, you're calling it too soon, but I think you can say Anthem is a failure. Anthem just... I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. Certainly, there is a puncher's chance that the Bioware team can get this game into a state that matters, but that never really mattered to me. I never really understood why people say, well, maybe they can fix it, because essentially you have lots of people that pre-ordered the game, bought the game early, and are unsatisfied. You get everyone who didn't buy the game early and are seeing videos like this and are unsatisfied. So what good is it if in 6 months you're like serviceable? Yes, games like Warframe, Destiny did come back and become reasonable games, but how many people are interested in buying Destiny now, for example? Now, Warframe, free to play, excellent game, highly recommend if you like looter shooters, but I don't know what else to say. The sales numbers are in, and they are brutal. Places are already putting physical copies on deep discount, as we've seen. Now, I don't know why this seems to happen overseas first. If, I don't know, like EA gives them more play to unload physical copies because there's just no financially viable way to send them back. So there may be an actually like a logistical reason for this, but I've shared several places where the game is deeply discounted. And look at one of the most damning pieces of evidence. Anthem's physical sales are only 10% of Destiny's. Now, again, yes, more people are downloading games today than they were when Destiny came out, okay? But again, this is also a directional number that we've seen bear out very, very consistently with games like Battlefield. Anthem's physical sales are half of Mass Effect Andromeda's. Again, same disclaimer, but this cannot possibly be good news for EA, and we're going to look at some of these details. But first, I want to show you some of the sales that are out there. You can see Anthem PS4 at MediaMarkt, selling for $39 euro, right? I think. Now, to put that in perspective, from what I'm told, AAA releases are usually 69 euro when they release, 59 or 69. So this is, nearly 50% off. And this was like on launch day. All right. And then if you look at Anthem in Europe, PS4 edition, 55 Australian dollar dues. Now, you might say as an American, oh, 55 Australian dollar dues, that's probably a good price. But no, that is also deeply discounted. If we look at Metro Exodus, a game that came out in the similar time, it's $88 dues. You can see Far Cry New Dawn, which we know came out at $40 US instead of $60 US, is still $58 dues. So you can say that Anthem is basically selling for roughly $40 US if you wanted to make that comparison. If you look at like the Xbox One version, same thing. PC, same as well. Now, I thought maybe the PC version wouldn't see this. So my whole theory was that if you're like in Australia or the EU and these discs need to get shipped back to the United States, maybe EA and other game developers say, look, we're going to give you more marketing dollars to unload physical copies because we know you can't send them back. But this kind of does destroy that as well. You can see in Australia, you're getting Anthem on release for 55 Australian, as I said earlier, the official currency, dollar dues. So Anthem is already extraordinarily deeply discounted in several places. The US market will probably be the last to, quote, fall. But dang, man, I feel there are a lot of people to feel bad for here. EA and Bioware as a company are not them, but people that, even if you didn't pre-order, but you're like, I'm going to give this game a shot on day one, and you bought it at full price, seeing it so deeply discounted everywhere else has gotta suck. I mean, this is just the case, not just with video games, but anything. When I see the price kind of drop quickly somewhere else, I feel like I got ripped off, you know? And the BioWare employees, you know, they worked on this for 6 years or something like that. And I don't know. The best thing I can say is, yes, there are some fans of the game, and that's obviously okay. Play what you enjoy. But with barely any story, boring NPCs, Fort Tarsus is so boring. And it's just like, what were you working on all this time? It's like EA said, get it out, because games as a service or live service games are dying, or getting oversaturated. That's probably the better term for it. And like, what did they think? That the flying around like Iron Man was going to be enough to make people think? It's literally that's what I'm thinking. Like, yes, the javelins are cool as heck. They are very cool. But maybe like that's what they thought. Maybe they thought, well, this is going to be enough to carry the game, because that's kind of all there is. Flying around, waiting, loading screens, you know, a cool customizable javelin, a huge amount of weapons that are sadly indistinguishable from each other in many cases. And you can see Anthem, BioWare's first UK number since Mass Effect Andromeda, according to, Anthem is BioWare's first UK number 1 since Mass Effect Andromeda. Industry analyst Daniel Ahmed says Andromeda sold more than double what Anthem has managed, and further, Andromeda sold nearly half of its predecessor, Mass Effect 3. More embarrassing still, Eurogamer adds that Anthem has sold roughly 1/4 of Destiny 2's physical total, while Ahmed said sold around 10% of Destiny 1. That's a lot of bouncing around, but the takeaway here is yikes. Sales data monitor Benji adds on Twitter that Anthem so far is performing quite a bit below my expectations, far short of other loot shooters in the genre, substantially below titles like Destiny 1, 2, and The Division. We must add the caveat that this is based on physical sales. That's right. Indeed, at the start of the year, Entertainment Retailers Association estimated that as much as 80% of UK gaming revenue is now digital. And add to this fact that EA's digital programs have featured Anthem prominently, it's far too early to say that Anthem is a flop. However, I think that's fair. When you say that, you know, the thing is, what you got to look at is, okay, it's 80% now. What was it when these other titles were there, right? I do say, like, this is not an absolute fact, okay? So Anthem defenders, relax. I'm just saying it's directional, okay? I would think that a game that is a big success or even a moderate success would see similar physical sale numbers, because there's a dedicated group of people that still buy physical, all right? Anthem topped the UX box game chart during its first week of release, but with half the physical sales of BioWare's previous game, Mass Effect Andromeda. Without digital sales through EA's Origin service on PC or download sales from PlayStation or Xbox, it's difficult to draw comparisons. But from the comparisons we can make, Anthem sales do not paint a hugely positive picture. Again, talking about box copies, just looking at 2019's release calendar so far, Anthem's opening weekend physical sales were both lower than Kingdom Hearts 3 and Resident Evil 2. So that's a better comparison. Now, I will say, Resident Evil 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3 probably both sold very well and are widely considered very successful. So if it only sold a little bit less, you know, we need to know how much less. It's not surprising that Anthem has had a tough road to release through a rocky beta. Technical issues in early access, early impressions have been mixed. I think that's very fair. While BioWare has rushed to patch some of Anthem's biggest problems for launch day, on a more positive note, I've been enjoying Anthem's very BioWare-y lore. Expect my Eurogames review. Now, in the last 40, Anthem did top the charts ahead of Far Cry New Dawn, FIFA, Rootin' Pootin' Cowboy, Fruitin' 2, Metro Exodus, and others. So it's interesting to speculate. I think it's curious. Maybe I'm just looking at this more often in terms of the international sales market, but it's surprising to see it so many dollar reduced cheaper and than Metro, which we can see again $88 reduced to $55 reduced. Clearly Anthem is discounted there. We see Anthem in a discount bin for €40. Normally priced at least $59.99, but most people are telling me AAA new titles in Germany are $69.99. So that is 50% off nearly. Now they're saying it's down from $45.90. I don't know why it would have launched at an already discounted price. I don't read German, but there are a lot of mentions. Well, I guess mein Deutsch ist nicht so gut. But there are a lot of mentions of Fallout 76 in here. And in a lot of ways, Anthem is suffering from a lot of the same problems Fallout 76 had. It might be a fine game in many years, but it still lacks a lot of the core interesting features and launches itself into an already crowded market. EA ate a bit of their own lunch, unfortunately, by releasing Apex Legends. Not to say that Apex Legends is a direct competitor to Anthem, but there is some crossover for people that might have been interested in Anthem that are still happily playing Apex Legends, which is, of course, free to play. The idea that you can release games in the state that EA released Anthem is disgusting and expect full price. Games as a service has absolutely failed. I'm actually considering jumping back in to Battlefield to see how that game has progressed this many months ahead, but they missed the mark. When you release a game with so many problems and expect everyone to just deal with it, think about how many customers you're burning. You can only churn and burn customers so much. When you release a game knowing that there's so many problems and you say, well, yeah, 50% of the people that bought the game on day one are going to be pissed, but we'll get it fixed over time. And then you expect to get a new crop of people the next time you release another unfinished game. Eventually, you're going to burn out everyone. You're going to have the reputation that EA does. Games as a service might have been a great project. It might have been a great model if you had used it for good and not evil. And I mean, if you had used games as a service to deliver a completed game, okay, and then add on awesome blocks of content afterwards, even if you were to charge for them, I think that would have been very successful. The problem is games as a service has been used to release buggy, unfinished games to customers at full retail with the promise of a, quote, roadmap to fix things down the line. I don't think that's what anyone expected with games as a service. It's been a cancer on the gaming community, and it needs to go away. Unfortunately for Anthem fans, Bioware employees, I do think about you. I'm sure that you worked very hard on this, and there is something to be said for having to work under the constant specter of being terminated, especially when you're owned by EA, and EA has a reputation of doing this. Bioware does have some other titles to lean back on yet, but it's not a great time, I think, to be a Bioware employee, and it's not necessarily the employee's fault. It's not the fault of the overwhelming majority of employees, that I'm sure of. And the AAA game industry absolutely is broken in the fact that they churn and burn both their customers and their employees. What used to be a dream job seems to sound like an absolute nightmare. And what used to be a time of excitement when new releases came out became a time now to laugh and point fingers and to watch the slow motion car accident that games as a service has become. Will Anthem be able to recover from this? I don't think so. I really don't. I think there's too many other options out there. There's too many other good free options out there. But you know what? EA does have a responsibility to improve the game for the people that did buy it on day one. And I'm hopeful for the people that did buy it and did enjoy it that BioWare delivers a good experience to you in the future. I hope you all enjoyed this video, everyone, though. We'll talk to you again real soon.